Hello and welcome to the first ever Cinema Buff podcast. And in this podcast, you'll be joining myself, Grant Mackenzie, as I provide a commentary, a full-length commentary for John Carpenter's classic horror movie Halloween, starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasence. Of course, it had its 35th anniversary just last year and was even shown in one of our local cinemas here uh, to celebrate and mark that anniversary. So the idea is that in this podcast I'll do probably quite a few commentaries, probably more so commentaries than anything else, which will talk about the films whilst it's playing, something that you can listen along to. So wait until I tell you. I'll tell you when to hit play, and we can sync things up, and you can watch, and we'll just go through it together. The film is it's one of my favourite films in cinema, and it's so much more than just a horror movie, and I think that's underappreciated. It's starting to be a little bit more appreciated, I think, and we have of course seen the reboot of the franchise with Halloween from last year, the effectively retconning all the previous sequels, which is in some cases a very good thing, and it effectively becomes a direct sequel to this version of Halloween, which we will watch together. The film, of course, was a budget roughly of about $300,000, and the box office, well, somewhere over $60 million, and who knows how much the franchise in its entirety has brought in through all the different iterations and spin-offs that there's been from this one movie. It's this fantastic movie, and without further ado, really, we'll get into it. So I've got the Blu-ray here. So however you've got it, please queue it up, whether it's streaming services or you've got a DVD or the Blu-ray. This is not an extended version of any type. This is the original cut. So it should run to the 91-minute mark. So I'm going to press play now. So we've got black screen. Now I'm watching this with subtitles. I've already watched it with the sound just to get back into it, because I don't want to obviously play the music or the soundtrack because I don't have the rights to do that. So of course Mustafa Akkad presents, and then we get the fantastic pumpkin. And apparently this was shot in a garage, one of the locations. Donald Pleasence, of course, gets top billing, the number one actor in the film, really, and John Carpenter's Halloween comes up, and it's a great title graphic selection. You know, the font. Deborah Hill, of course, who co-wrote the film alongside John Carpenter and was the producer, introducing Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, as Laurie, and you know, the music, of course, is so classic, and John Carpenter's just a fantastic composer, as well as a cinematic writer, and of course a director. And the pumpkin, incidentally, was carved by the young actor who played Tommy Doyle in the film, who we of course see later on. We see at the start and obviously near the climax as well. But quite an excellent job he's done of this pumpkin, and just the way they zoom in on it, and the music, it's already building and building and building, and it's slow, and this is one continuous shot, of course, which is a bit of a hallmark in this film, and it's something I think John Carpenter very deliberately used, but also as I'll talk about a little bit later on, perhaps didn't quite wasn't necessarily a completely conscious decision from John Carpenter. There are other reasons as well, but it works so well. And of course, we get that final credit there, as we always do for directors, John Carpenter. Now, Haddonfield, Illinois, of course, it's not filmed in Illinois. It's actually filmed in Los Angeles. Pasadena is one of the places. and one of the things we'll see. But here, of course, one of the things we'll see is that the trees have a lot of foliage for considering it's the fall. But here we are. It's a steady cam, and this opening sequence uh, is one long shot with very few cuts. So obviously now this is point of view, which sets this first scene, actually this whole first sequence kind of sets the cinematic language of the film. Slow, deliberate pacing, points of view, that steady cam. We've of course got the young lovers and the sister, and this house was derelict. This was near the end of shooting. The whole cast and the crew whitewashed the outside to make it look as if it wasn't as dilapidated as it actually was, and they decorated some of the rooms that were used. Now, no film is complete without its gaffes or its maybe continuity errors, and there are a couple in this. It's to be expected. It's a quick shoot as well. The light goes off, all that music that comes up, it just adds to the tension. This is supposed to, of course, be the child Michael Myers. It's obviously the point of view of the child Michael Myers. However, it's obviously a camera operator. And the first time I really noticed it was this chair. If this is a child, he should be like down near the height. His eye line should be much further down than this. That's Deborah Hill, the producer and co-writer's hand, playing the young Michael Myers. And there's a lot of crew kind of going around trying to block out camera shadows and things as they. It's kind of a dance almost. People are ducking out of the way. They've decorated and set these rooms because the house was empty. But this is a tall young kid, and I don't want to pick on it too much because I do love this film, and this is just very few flaws in it. Of course, one thing that most people will know is, wow, that was quick. They've went upstairs and doing whatever, but he's quick. I like to think that maybe they realised what the time was, and he's had to go because he's got a curfew or something like that. That's what I like to think, to give them a bit of the benefit of the doubt on this one. But also, there's no point in having him waiting for an hour. And who's to say that Michael wasn't going to kill both of them? This is the thing, as we've seen certainly in the most recent sequel, Michael's just indiscriminate. We know Michael is indiscriminate in his killing necessarily. There's the mask and lovely big red nose. Deborah Hill's arm makes an appearance again, and there's one of the cuts as it goes black. And as we go in now, the wee room. There's a great layout of the house, the fact that there's all these rooms kind of lead into each other. So there's all these different ways of getting through. Of course, we have a nude scene, looks down, yep, they did the deed. We think they did the deed. She's humming away, still unaware. And there the music starts. And this is a great shot. You don't actually see anything. It's much like in Psycho. You don't actually see any knives, cutting anyone. Go up to the knife, a little bit of a callback maybe to Psycho and the death. One of the things I love about this film is it's actually not that gory. Obviously the death count isn't as much as it would be in later movies. And then the most recent sequel has a really high death count and some gory deaths as well. That we see quite a little bit more. But here, of course, the kid comes down, and at this point, the camera operator does kneel down because they have to. You'll notice it just coming up. There, just kind of kneels down so that they're a little bit lower down, and there's the kid's height, of course. But I'm sorry, I've kind of picked it a little bit, but it's one of the few things in the film. But what a great opening sequence that we've got here. Michael standing there, catatonic, big knife covered in blood. The parents, unsure as to what's happening. We get this lovely crane shot. I mean, it's a stunning crane shot that pulls right back out on this scene, just to absorb everything. And classic kind of, I don't know, thunder and lightning coming in, a bit of a horror movie. You expect it, I suppose, even back then. It's common horror language, a stormy night, to build that tension, the darkness, and of course we're the eve of Halloween, on October 30th, and we get the debut now of Donald Pleasence, who, of course, a well-known British actor, well known for obviously The Great Escape and Blofeld in You Only Live Twice, and of course the great another great actress uh, who would appear in later films, Nancy Stevens as Marion Chambers. Conversation. She's obviously nervous. 20 yards up and thunder crashing fences, and there's the headlights aren't really illuminating much, which I kind of think adds to everything. And then we get a little bit more sort of exposition. Where we know that we realise that Michael hasn't spoken since, and we kind of get the sense here that don't underestimate it. Pleasant says, Sam Loomis says, your compassion is overwhelming. She's a chain smoker, as we see. It's no sooner as he put out a cigarette, maybe it's through nerves, uh, and he's telling him what to give her. The plan is to make sure that he's catatonic in front of any judge. And there's the rabbit in red that we get a close up on. He notices it, so we register that he's kind of registering it, but maybe the first time you see it, you don't. And we get more information about Donald Pleasence's character, which in the TV movie there was a deleted scene about. Well, not a deleted scene. There was an additional scene for exposition, I think, because there was a TV movie version of this put out, and as we see now, kind of people just wandering around. Smith's Grove is a minimum security uh, facility, so there's a lovely flash. That's a special effect that's been added as he starts to kind of wonder. He's known this boy since he was a child. Spent so long that trying to keep him in. He goes out and we see the gates open. You can only imagine what's going on at the hospital. And there we go with, I believe that's Nick Castle himself actually running up. Nick Castle, who played the Shape, as he's credited. And this is the big first scare, really, since the opening. And he's on that roof, she's struggling away. The plan here is to drive her out of the car, obviously. That's his plan. And she plays us great. She's really scary. We've already got two scares pretty much straight out the blocks, as we go. Great smash of the glass, and she just runs. And that's his cue to get in, drive, and I just wonder, what if she gets all mucky in that white? What if they had to do a retake? He runs, are you all right? And he's gone from here. Now that line, the evil is gone. That's a make or break moment, I think, in this film. That's a moment a lot of people might have laughed and thought, well, the evil is gone. It's kind of a, you can understand if people perhaps laughed at that. The evil is gone. It's quite a bit of a grand line to give, but and I love that with the text there. It just fades from Haddonfield to Halloween, and we see this lovely sort of Americana, just every street suburb, and these are lovely streets. We're here in green, obviously. There's leaves that have been added. They've been brought in by the set by the crew, and they had to be picked up and rebagged, so trash bags full of leaves. As we meet Jamie Lee Curtis for the first time, and she just looks very innocent and plain. There's her dad, the Myers place. She's very responsible, being trusted to take the key so that people can go and have a look at the house at 10:30. And I wonder what happens, when the people go. How do they miss Michael? Because as we'll come later on, spoilers. I'm assuming everybody's watched this film. He we realise he's already in the house. So when they go to see it at 10:30, at 10:30, is he there? Has he left? Well, he's actually, as we find out, he's stalking her. So, and here we get, of course, Tommy Doylan. This is the actor I was talking about who carved the excuse me, the pumpkin. Brian Andrews, I believe, is the name. And we're just getting again setting up the character. He's very sweet. She's very sweet. They have a sweet relationship. Why, and all the a lot of these characters just have kind of have little traits like that. He's got this why, where, always asking lots of questions, and later on we get now that's actually what the house looked like as well. We get PJ Souls character who's always saying totally. So there's another. We're going to get another bit of a scare here. But that's actually the state of the house when they began shooting, and they lucked out really. It's a great house, and there's somebody there watching. They run away, or even in daytime. So I'm assuming the people that went to look at the house were very lucky escape that they didn't walk in on Michael lurking in the house where it all went down. This song that she's singing, she made up. As we get Michael walks at the shot, and it's great. Look how long the shots are. I think a lot of film directors now, and even then, would have been tempted to cut at some point, maybe to the other side of the street and track her as she walks. I don't know, but there's something about the deliberate pacing and the way that they take their time and take their time. And this is Doctor Wynn, who the character resurfaced later on in the franchise to have actually been in on the escape. So something to watch out on if you watch the later Halloweens, particularly the film that has Paul Rudd in it. And here we get Sam Lewis, who he knows. And look, he's parting a handicapped space. And I just wonder if that was deliberate, like a wee joke. This is so serious, he's not even caring about, that it's a handicap space. Or probably it's just simply a filming thing. Because there's a car parked right there, and it's just close, so it's just kind of for time, get them straight in and into the car and away. But he's parked in a handicap zone. This is a great shot that they go through again, steady cam, right the way through. This film makes great use of Steadicam. John Carpenter, through a lot of his films, made great use of Steadicam as he goes through. The camera operator takes you through the zoom, right, and we hold, and then we see Michael. I know it's just far enough away that it looks strange, but can you be certain it's a mask? She certainly can't. She's obviously not clear that it is a mask. It's a little bit closer in, and we can start to see it does look a bit like a mask. We get here that Laurie is a clever student. Fate is a natural element, and that links into a little bit about what John Carpenter said about the Michael Myers character, that he has to quote John Carpenter, a force of nature. Uh, and then we get more here, kids, and obviously the Halloween costumes, and this provides a little bit of, in a sense, cover for Michael. It is Halloween, so it's not unusual to see a guy walking down the street. Certainly not unusual to see kids walking down the street, but Michael walking down the street in a mask. And poor Tommy here getting picked on. I think he does a great job here for such a young actor. Oh, these boys do as well. Briefly, the boy on the left hand side, as you're watching now, is Mickey Yablans, the son of the executive producer. So they try to scare him, and they planting the boogeyman, and they fall on the pumpkin, the poor young lad. I just feel so sorry for him. Bang, another big bit of music. And there's Michael stops him, he's wearing the mask. We still haven't seen the mask completely clearly yet. We've seen it in the distance, but we're yet to see it fully. We get to see little bits of it peeking through here. But he's now watching the kids. So the two people that have first, come to his house, he's gonna, whether he knows that she's going to be babysitting for this young boy, and that's going to give him an opportunity to the uh, relive what happened with his sister, who was of course babysitting him. This is not in this first film, and has now been retconned. Jamie Lee Curtis's character is not his sister. That became something that was added for the second film, and also even actually started in some of the additional scenes that were added to the TV movie. There's a scene in which, after the escape, Loomis goes with the nurse to his room, sees the carnage, and carved in the door is the word sister. Uh, but there's Tommy getting stalked, and again it's a long shot, no cutting kind of point of view, and then he drives off. Now this we see it could be the middle of nowhere. I believe this is still in California, and Loomis is kind of on his way and trying to warn everybody. And this scene is quite, I believe, quite important in him warning everybody. They're not taking him seriously because Michael has been a catatonic for years, and he's obviously not getting anywhere with the local police. And a great timing with the train. He spots the truck and goes investigates, and we get a reveal coming up. But great timing with that train going by, just adds. Now he investigates. He sees the gown, and he's pretty certain. Okay, he's been here, but what has he done? We don't know. And of course, he finds the matchbook that was there, but why the matchbook would be there, I don't know. Had he not found that matchbook, he might have kept investigating the scene and found the murdered mechanic, and that would have changed everything because he would have then went back to that phone box and say, "Officer, you've got to send somebody out here now. I found somebody who's dead, and I believe it's Michael, and this is why, because and he can get Marion Chambers, Marion Chambers' character to say, yes, those were my cigarettes, and that was my matchbook that was in the car. He's been here, he's been here, and this would have changed everything. They would have put the town on lockdown in this, but of course that would have changed a lot. Now Deborah Stevens wrote a lot of the dialogue of the female characters. She was a babysitter herself, so she's wrote. These are great characters. PG Souls, of course, we know from Stripes and uh, numerous other movies, and Nancy Loomis, who married Tommy Lee Wallace, who was the production designer, I believe, certainly one of the producers on the film. I do have to apologise. I've got a bit of a cold today, so if my voice sounds a bit funny, it's that. But yeah, one of the crew, Tommy Lee Wallace, who I think we saw in the opening credits, the role he played, but she would go on to marry him. But they're great. And of course, you've got Michael again. You still can't see if it's a mask, and it's an official car, but it's a small enough logo that people don't really notice. Drives off, and and the speed kills. Well, now they're starting to worry. Oh, PJ Souls gives a wee swallow there. Oh, are we going to get in trouble here? Nancy Loomis still trying to laugh off Annie Brackett, of course, the character, daughter of Sheriff Lee Brackett, played by Charles Cyphers, who we meet later on. And there's PJ Souls with it, totally. It these are just normal teenage high school babysitter American girls. And this is a all American sort of street, really. Again, long shot, long point of view. We're not cutting all the time. And now we get, although we've been following them but now we get a long shot of point of view, looking at them. Who's watching them? It could be anyone. It could be it's us, obviously, but there's all these kind of almost, I suppose, voyeuristic uh, shots. Even if we're in, like here, we're moving and it's a little bit documentary style, but we're floating. It's steady cam. Uh, Earlier on, when Michael drives past Tommy Doyle, it's we're in the back seat. You know, we're just kind of watching from our point of view. We're riding along with everything that goes on in this film, and I think that helps to bring you further into it. And I'd love to see more films shot at this. And look at Michael starting to build the suspense. Laurie sees him, Annie doesn't. She's like, oh, it's gone. She doesn't. She hasn't seen it. She isn't getting a sense. Laurie's had him watching from outside the school. She's had him drive past there and squeal with the tires, and she's seen him again. And, excuse me. Annie. She's not afraid. She's forthright and starts to play a trick. It's Halloween after all. We play tricks. Uh, but three babysitters. We're establishing the friendship here, dynamic with them all. They get on and great fun together, and obviously Michael's not there, but it just adds these great relationships in the film, these great characters that you invest in. Even the supporting characters, Annie and Linda, played by PJ Souls. It's great. They all live on the same walk to school together, and then we've got Jamie Lee walking on her own, and she's confused still. There's somebody out there. She's sure of it. They have a little jump. Great, and this is Charles Cyphers, who has appeared in a number of films for John Carpenter, 6 in total. He's Assault on Precinct 13, Someone's Watching Me, Elvis, The Fog, Escape from New York. Involved. John Carpenter's got a lot of collaborators that appear in a number of movies with him. Of course, this one being one of them, and he's great as the sheriff. He's fantastic as the sheriff. And we got Laurie appearing home. She's laughter and all that. And now the fear is gone. We're back to normal, and the kids are going out on innocent Halloween. It really is, fantastic how they set things up in this sort of first act. Now, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis, a screen queen, and then she managed to sort of ditch it all. And deliberately, she's talked about that, how she made a conscious decision to get out of doing horror movies. Terror Train, Prom Night, things like that. And she made a conscious decision to get out of it, and she did such a great job. And now it's another spot. There's Michael, phone ring. Could it be? It's all a little bit too coincidental, perhaps, but it's just all building that tension. But yes, she did a great job of kind of breaking away from it all. The Scream Queen role, of course, our parents Uh, Tony Curtis, Janet Leigh. Janet Leigh, of course, legendary in terms of horror because of Psycho. And of course, Donald Pleasence's character, called Sam Loomis. Sam Loomis was the name of the character that was the boyfriend of Janet Leigh's character in uh, in Psycho. So there's nice little sort of callbacks to everything. Uh, but there's a sense here now that she's getting a bit too nervous, or she's had a couple of scares, and she's trying to convince herself that it's really nothing to worry about. I believe those outfits that she wears, are all J.C. Penney outfits, so it's all to appear very kind of American style, recognisable to everybody. Because there'll be lots of people who'll be watching it who'll have bought the same things. They'll be to the same, bought the same line of clothes, so it's all recognisable, style. It's not, they've not had, a costume designer, you know, design bespoke outfits for everybody uh, to uh, to make things, more exciting. It's a low budget film, so of course, they would go to kind of mainstream shop and just buy cheap clothes off the rack. Uh, we're now getting transition into sort of early evening, as everybody's getting ready for. We get more scenes with Ari and Jamie Lee, and again, look, another long shot from a point of view that there's no point in them quickly changing to another one, as would be the case in most films. They wait and wait, and it's great. There's such a slow pace, and I think that helps to build up the suspense later on in the film. That there's the to build up that tension, This guy, I think he's great as the sort of cemetery caretaker. Uh, Saying every town has something that's happening, and this is, that's probably part of the inspiration behind it. Do something that is that has happened. Something unexplainable, some unexplainable tragedy, the murder, that gruesome thing that's occurred. Uh, it's happened in every house, in every town, in every town in America. And I think that's part of why Halloween at the time became such a huge success. Uh, and it's just here we get the first sign that he's okay. Again, everybody else is just like, oh, oh, this is a bit strange. But Dr. Loomis is reading something else into it, because he's always known that Michael, it's like he came home. These kind of lines that he's done such a great job. Of course, the role was originally uh, wanted. It was originally offered to Peter Cushing and uh, to Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee would go on to say that it was one of the biggest mistakes that he ever made in turning down the film. So, of course, one of the things we've got going on here is the girls smoking marijuana, and it's just see, there she is. She's struggling, and the other girls, there's Annie, smokes like it's nothing. Laurie, a little bit more kind of innocent or whatever. Uh, and of course, then we get the dad. Is of course the cop, and the idea that he can't smell the marijuana. Of course, Michael is stalking them still. Just be natural, just be natural. Uh, and there's some Halloween masks in the window, so it makes sense that Michael's obviously been there. There's the two of them looking Jamie, Lee Curtis in the foreground, they're just trying to play it cool. Or probably kids, yeah. Everything's just kind of bashed away as if all they took was a Halloween mask. Now this gives us obviously that good time to say about the mask. Now production designer Tommy Lee Wallace, who mentioned would marry Nancy Loomis, used the mask by Captain Kirk, modified it, painted it white, widened the eyes. I think took off the eyebrows, kind of altered the hair. And what a great job! And now this shot, I love this. Now look at that. It's over the sheriff's shoulder. It holds. Here enters, exits Jamie and Nancy, Jamie Lee Curtis and Nancy Loomis. In comes Donald Pleasence. There's Michael off in the corner. We can see all this going on. They walk. He's trying to hunt down Michael. He's looking, and obviously if he spotted his car, it would make a huge difference. Now he looks away. I watch this, just this perfect timing that as he's desperately looking to find Michael. Now this shot was, we believe, added, well, as I've learned, it was added later on after, near the end of the film, because they felt they needed a transition from daytime to night, so it's more of a dusk. As you can see, the light getting lower, filming over the shoulder, rafts of sunlight bursting through. So this is just that transition scene, and we're getting a little bit more about Laurie being innocent and talking about everyday things, that things that all kids, in America, go through, about asking somebody to the dance or confessing a crush. Ben Tramer, which would come up in Halloween 2, I believe. So you do think about things like that. The idea that Laurie, plays down that side of herself. And look how close Michael is behind them. And obviously they're not looking behind; they're looking forward and driving around. And Michael's right behind them. And they're, it's just getting darker and darker. And John Carpenter has revealed that this bit was a little bit, that there, as it got darker, was an after effect that they put just to get it that little bit darker, so that when it cuts to evening, it's a little bit less of a, they've eased that transition a little bit more. And this is great, the fact that their house sitting, they're babysitting rather, just across from each other. So it just allows everything to happen on such a small scale. But we've still got great, more to come. But this is us now entering. We're well into the second act now, and so far, it's been a while since Michael actually killed anyone. So far, as far as we know, as far as we've discovered, the only person he's killed was the mechanic. I say the only person, the poor mechanic, since he's escaped. So we open the film with the murder of his sister. He's just watching, hiding slightly. It's amazing. This shot again, it's just amazing. I was watching, and he just learns everything about what he's going to do. And waiting. Sees, okay, I'm going to be able to go in here and kill. There's his house. How creepy that house looks. It's such a brilliant house. It's so lucky that it was in the state it was in. They didn't have to do anything, considering they were on such a tight budget. And most of the sheriff's starting to, he's humouring Dr. Loomis. But I think he's kind of slowly coming around. He kind of has to take the Doctor serious. But look how creepy, the house is. It's just, it's just brilliant. It's, every, again, it's kind of like every town has this kind of haunted house. Everybody has some house on the street that's like, don't look there, or don't go there, or you run past it, sort of thing, because it's kind of creepy. It's another one of Dr. Lewis's sort of, the evil has gone. he came home, he got hungry. You know, yes, he is. I don't know if that's conscious. You know, later on when he says if it was the boogeyman, as a matter of fact, it was. But, I just love the way this is lit. You know, it's dark and something could jump out at any moment. Uh, but there's light, coming through. It's ominous. You're gonna take the tour of the horror house, uh, and obviously, this is the first time what appears to be happening here. This is the first time that Dr. Loomis has come to the scene of the crime. He's been treating Michael since he was a child, 15 years. Uh, this is the there's that. We discover that Loomis is armed. He's packing heat with that smash there. Candy glass, of course. He's got the permit. Uh, and we kind of discover that Dr. Loomis is actually a little bit scared. And now we get this great, the speeches were written by John Carpenter. So it's a great division of labour that John Carpenter would get across. The things about Loomis and what he's saying about the cat about Michael, Deborah Hill doing the girls, the teenagers. Famous line, of course, the devil's eyes. You know, it's just fantastic. I mean, the performance of Donald Pleasence is incredible in this, and I just can't. I know your Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee were offered it, but I don't know if they would have done this better than Donald Pleasence. I mean, he knocks it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. Just, and he only did this film because his daughter, who was a musician, liked the music from Assault on Precinct 13. $20,000 is what he got paid. That's the highest that anyone got paid on the film, and I believe he only kind of worked with him for about 3 days. So it's fantastic. And he of course gave the film a credibility. Donald Pleasance, well-known, respected actor, uh, is in this movie because of course this is Jamie Lee Curtis's feature film sort of debut. Uh, I love this, Laser Man, not Neutron Man. It's just sort of made up comic books. So it just seems all kind of, they're a bit nervy, they're on edge, just, as kids would be on Halloween. But, they're kind of just getting on with it. They don't know what's due to come. And this adds to the tension, as we're about to see here. Uh, build the suspense and lovely dog growling and barking and well trained dog, obviously. Uh, I just love the way she plays this here and the laughter. Such good friends, but that relationship I think comes across. I can't fault the dynamics, the chemistry between the three friends, all the characters even. Even with the kids, I don't think you can fault the chemistry even between Loomis and the sheriff. Uh, when you've got such a small cast, I think you kind of need that. And that helps make it. But they just put in such believable performances. Nobody's over the top. It's all kind of like the right level. That they play it at, and obviously that's testament to John Carpenter's direction. That he's able to get that, and this is great. Oh, look at that shot, Michael's. Oh, look at that. He's just standing there. Tommy's spotting him, and that shot, of course, that point of view that we get is, they don't sort of delineate from that. They keep that point of view, it's like it's the exact same camera position, and that camera position comes up time and time again later in the film. Why change it? Most directors I think would be tempted. Again, here we go. It's the exact same camera position. They're like, why change it? And now we're really starting to ramp up the suspense. We always talk about Hitchcock being the master of suspense. And this is a horror movie, but I actually think it's, and it's like, on the say it's like a slasher movie. Of course it is because it's a knife killer, but not compared with other films. I mean, this is suspense, and we don't really see, too much blood, gashes, or slits, or too much of that stuff. Obviously, it's a product of its time, just as current modern films, much more gory. Knives sticking into people and sticking out, and guts in the entrails, making a little scare. And all throughout the film, we've had this fantastic score. You can't fault it. Michael Myers just waiting and waiting for, I don't know what, the right moment. But I love all this Lindsay, the way she shouts on the girl who's just engrossed in the movie, and the dog, poor wee dog. And I love dogs. I love animals, and poor wee thing. Now, this is actually that shot there. The way they got the dog to do that is it's actually slowed down. It's in slow motion. They've slowed the frames down because they've just picked the dog. They've just picked the dog up, and the dog's trying to kind of get a grip on something, and they've slowed it down so they could get a couple of frames where the legs of the dog just dropped straight. They've slowed it down such so that it looks like the dog goes limp, but at no point does the dog go limp. And this is, of course, a nod to one of John Carpenter's favourite films, and obviously a kind of horror classic, The Thing, which he, of course, would go on to make his own version of his fantastic version of it, starring Kurt Russell later on. But that's in the, of course, in the film here. That's what they're watching on the sort of horror marathon. And this is just quite sweet the way that they are together. They are quite sweet, and Jamie's being a good babysitter and a good friend to Richie. So not Richie, sorry, to Tommy. Not believing the kid, or the kid's kind of seen him. But this is just more layers of goodness on Laurie as a character. Yeah, we're going to make the jack-o'-lantern. It's all right. She's made Tommy feel better, and good on her. And now here we go back to the build-up of the suspense. We've got a vulnerable girl. She's semi-naked, going into a dark laundry room, a laundry building, outhouse, or whatever you want to call it, garage as we would say here. Lots of dark spots. You could come diving out that door. You could be inside, for all we know, because it's not locked. It's dark. There's no lights. It's just, people expect, oh, there he is, through the window. It's just adding. She knows she's heard something, but there could he come out? No, it's just because she's oblivious. She's not seen anything. Maybe Laurie's character would be a little bit more cautious because of what she's seen earlier on. She's seen him in her garden. She's seen him outside the school. She's seen him all over the place. She'd maybe be a little bit more nervous. Nancy is not, because she's not seen anything. She's not had any reason to be scared of anything, and now the door's stuck. And then we're back to that Lindsay. Shout. It's excellent writing. It's absolutely brilliant writing from Deborah Hill and John Carpenter. And of course, got the thing playing away. Lindsay, who has not moved position at all since we've been cutting to and from her. There's Michael off in the background again. It's brilliant. Now, has she turned around and seen him? No, she hasn't. What she's spotted is a window. So, she's being stalked and absolutely does not know at all. And she's putting herself in these incredibly vulnerable positions, and people are just kind of, people, audiences are, it's expertly done. It's a big, long tease from Carpenter. So he's not going to give you it until he's ready. And I think a lot of horror movie directors could learn from this. You don't have to. I know the expectation is now that you've got to give there's got to be like a kill in every scene or whatever. But I don't know. I think if you do it right, if you build up the suspense, there's Lindsay, or she's vulnerable as well, the wee kid running about. Uh, but Michael Myers isn't interested in the little kids as we would see in this film, and of course, as we saw in the reboot of the second one, although there is the young boy in the car, there's a baby that he leaves be. So there's again sweet relationships between the babysitter and the babysitter. So please don't tell anyone. And look how this is the same shot that we've went to again and again and again. It's the same camera's position. Because why bother? You can move the camera a couple of feet or whatever, but why? What's the point? You don't need to. And she's immediately went and told, and there's, it's fun for them. It's good dialogue between them. And there's Michael Myers again. It's just standing there, they're all completely oblivious to this murderer standing there, and then he's gone. It's like a dance. The way that he floats into the screen, floats about, and it is a shape. He's a shape in the background that people can miss. Us as the audience, we're seeing everything. We're up to speed, and everybody else is not up to speed at all. And there's like the warning: bolt your windows, turn off the lights, don't go away. It's Lindsay there. Why are you scared? Yeah, and there's like the deal between the babysitter. Yeah, but it's like a good relationship, between them all. Uh, Kids running about. Little do they know that running about in that in the back garden there or whatever of this house is a murderer. All these little kids just running about. Again, it's the steady cam from that same sort of point of view. And there he is again. And it's like he knows. And the breathing is something that adds to it as well. Uh, breathing inside the mask and that noise that it makes. There's Tommy. So and now poor Laurie is going to be saddled uh, with the with babysitting two kids now. It's going to be her role in life tonight. Uh, and it's just such great, you know. Again, I've mentioned it. The dialogue, I think it's underrated. People don't know. People don't talk about it as much. Like the dialogue doesn't. The stuff about Ben Tramer and all that is inconsequential, but it's all just to set the scenes it's just to keep building on to the situation that they're unaware, they're oblivious to what's going on there, and that's part of it. That's part of the magic of it. They're completely oblivious to the person that's stalking them outside, And again, look, there's that same position again. And look how he followed them. The camera follows her in, stops in the position that we're used to. The, the handle's locked, but it doesn't follow her. Like, no keys. She's singing again. This is another made-up song, so credit credit to everybody who's making up the songs. And look, she comes in, and then they track from the start, from that position, and there's again familiar point of view. You know, why didn't he move, to the other angle? Because he doesn't want to. It's it's wonderful, and everything's kind of in this sort of almost universal kind of focus in a sense. Obviously, it's not quite, but it feels like everything. It feels like we're kind of standing there. We're on a ride, and we're not jumping about because there's not all these grand, great cuts. And and again, this is the same position again. It's something to really notice. And look, oh, the door's open. She's went in to get the keys, figures it out. There's the window. Why is there condensation? And up he comes. And this is great acting. He holds his face. He's just looking at her. She's struggling. He's not, applying any additional force. He's got his hand around her throat, and he's holding that same position. It's I think she does a great job here. She's not overplaying it. A lot of people might laugh. And there's the knife, but we don't actually get to see full on. Oh, he slashed her throat, and she slips away, and that's brilliant. I mean, it's a great scare. We've waited and waited. He's built it up so long, Carpenter, that eventually, he had numerous opportunities to kill her, but he's waited and waited and waited until he's got the opportunity he wants. And part of me wonders if that's because he's wanting to make sure he's got an opportunity to kill where they won't be immediately found, so that he can continue killing some other people. He's obviously identified the three girls because he's watched them. He wants to kill all three of them. If he kills the first one and she gets discovered and there's a police lockdown, then that stops him. I don't know if that's in the thinking. I don't, but it works great. And here's Tommy trying to scare, and proceeds in scaring himself, and there's that same position. And just how brazen is that? Just walking about. Anybody could be driving past or standing on their porch. It's a well-populated suburban street. He's just carrying the dead body. Tommy's seen it. Most of the screen. And the poor kid. He's not being believed at all. It's poor kid. Nobody believes me. You see, the kids know. The kids are aware, but everybody else is oblivious. But back to the TV. Kids being as they are, and there's the thing. Flying saucers. Of which this film is definitely not an alien movie. And now we get a little bit of sort of light relief after the, bringing everybody back down a little bit after that killing. And it's the three bully boys, and they're going to get their comeuppance. They're going to get a good scare. And, Laurie said it earlier on, everybody's entitled to one good scare. Get your ass away from there. And then he's got this sort of cheeky, this kind of pleased grin, and we're all laughing, and then bang. And a lovely quick cut. I mean, that's a great quick cut there, just to add to the jumpiness. little does the sheriff know that his daughter's been murdered. What more? Take more than fancy talk. Unfortunately, he's going to find out that that his daughter's dead, and he's looking away. He's kind of listening, like, "Yes, okay, doctor, I get it," and then kind of convinced again. So the relationship between Loomis and the sheriff, is an interesting one. The sheriff is reluctant, but Loomis, there he is at more fancy talk, he kind of gets convinced, but he's still kind of, still kind of gets convinced, but still is a little bit skeptical. But look, he's agreed. Okay, all right, okay, But I felt a little bit tough on him because it wasn't his fault. Loomis, as we know, spent years trying to keep him locked up. And this van, look at the state of this van. It's obviously it's of its time, but my goodness, it's something like that '70s show, just like this guy is. I mean, look at that hairstyle and the specs. Of course, the specs play a role, but those vans, I mean, what on earth? No, that's just weird. That's just weird what you just said. But I mean, look at that Ford van. It's just weird. I just couldn't imagine anyone I grew up with kind of driving about in a van like that. Just something weird about it. The paintwork and all that. And it doesn't even bother closing his van door and locking it. But I suppose it's a simpler time, Nobody, doors weren't locked. No keys. Look, they go in. No, I don't know if I'm right there. I think that door the outside the door handle was on the left, and well, well, anyway. Now, little does she know that her friend has been murdered in this house. Nobody knows. All the lights are off. So Michael's went in, switched off all the lights. And they're going to get on some more passion. Now, of course, one of the famous things that I think a lot of people who watch this film know is it's kind of an interpretation at the time that because all the sort of promiscuous teens, if Michael just watching them again, they're oblivious. He's standing right there. He could go and plunge a knife into both of them right now. But then where would the fun be? And where would the fun be for the audience? I suppose in the scares. But of course, there was a kind of belief that because it was the promiscuous teens and the sort of the virginal character that survived, that John Carpenter was having some sort of making some sort of statement that that if you are promiscuous or that you should save your you should be a virgin, behave yourself, etc. They're being punished for their promiscuousness or something like that. But that's something he's flatly denied. I believe him. I think the thing is that it's just Laurie's somebody that they just they try to make her a character that people like and want to root for. They want her to. She's the slightly more awkward of the three. She can't. She doesn't have a boyfriend. She doesn't have a date for the dance. She's got the more confident friends who kind of corral her a little bit more, be influence her. But John Carpenter has said that's not the case. I think people just read it in, but in a funny way, without knowing, he created a kind of a theme. Obviously, the final girl, as it's known, that has been repeated in there's so many in so many ways. Uh, it You know, it has to be said it's not just Carpenter. It's Carpenter and Deborah Hill. So if it was some sort of, I don't know, anti-feminist sort of thing, I'm sure Deborah Hill would have had a lot to say about it. It's the two of them in the bed getting it, or Jack o' Lantern in the corner. I think PJ Souls is great in this film. She does very well with the character, and uh, you know, I think she's, it's great casting from Carpenter, and it's all the more there's that shadow there. It's it's great casting by Carpenter and the filmmakers, because we just invest in these characters. They need to be good actors, and they need to have the right chemistry, and they need to get into the roles. Uh, so it's yeah, it's great casting. One of the things, just going back to the whole idea of it being a morality tale, or something, a cautionary tale about, promiscuousness. I just wonder, is there a cigarette even lit there? Well, it is lit. There's no smoke coming out there, but this period still was very satisfied with how our man's performed. But yeah, Carpenter has commented on it, saying that one of the explanations he's given is that I'll say the quote here: the one girl who's the most sexually uptight just keeps stabbing this guy with a long knife. She's the most sexually frustrated. She's the one that's killed him, not because she's a virgin, but because all that sexually repressed energy starts coming out. She uses all those phallic symbols on the guy. So that's John Carpenter's explanation of why. And this is a great kill. I think a lot of people, kind of talk about this one for a specific reason. That if you watched it, you'll know. It's completely anything new. Bang, out he comes, right? And it's kind of an iconic kill in horror movies, not because of the act itself, as we see. Obviously, it's impressive. He's lifted this guy off with one hand. You're starting to think there's something a little bit more with Michael Myers, because he's hardly breaking a sweat. He looks to have been doing things with physical ease, which we see later in later films. He becomes an almost a Terminator type character. There's the kill, and where's the blood? We haven't seen the knife penetrate in current movies. We see it there, but look, it's the turn of the head. This is what makes it so iconic. This shot, the lighting, is beautifully shot, and he's just doing the tilt of the head thing. It's fantastic. It's just wonderful. And then, of course, it leads on to this, which gets a laugh. When I was at the anniversary screening at my local cinema, Dundee Contemporary Arts, which I highly recommend if you're ever in the Dundee area. Uh, Everybody was laughing actually throughout the film. There was a lot of, and I think that was just the room. That's just the audience. First I was a little bit kind of like, come on, eh? I mean, I know it's not a terrifying movie. If you approach it in a certain way, which a lot of people did, they were laughing at bits. They laughed at the killing in the car. They laughed. Obviously, they laughed at this. That close up. I just love the way Carpenter. There's lots of stuff like this in the Fog and these other films that he just holds. He's a patient. He's patient with the shots. He lets things breathe. She's starting to get a little bit worried. What's going on with this guy? She's expecting more fun and games, and she's feeling, I suppose, rejected. Now she is standing there all vulnerable back to him. And this, really ramps things up a gear because she hears what's going on. She doesn't know what's, she's, she's kind of certain that things are all, why would she assume that her friend's getting killed? But now she starts to worry. And this is great. PJ Souls does a great job there. She has to make sure in that shot that she pulls that blanket off him, the white sheet off. And here's Michael Myers. Just now we get a full on close up of the mask. That's like really the first shot that we get a close up on the mask. We're so far into the film now, and lights are going on, lights are going off. Starting to get a bit strange. Starting to wonder what's going on. So now we're down to the final girl. She sees the van there, so she knows that there's more than one person in there. So now she's getting concerned. I don't think she suspects it's the guy. I don't think she suspects Michael Myers. She's just concerned for her friends. Obviously, she's heard her phone and thinks it might have been called for help, perhaps. Two kids. And now, just to ease the pace up a little bit, give us a bit of breathing space after the kill. We're now to the two kills that we've got. We're now back. And it almost feels like it's playing out in real time now. That we've got to now we've got to this night. It feels like it's playing out in real time. And I think that adds to things. And I wonder how long that car's been sitting there, and he's only just noticed it. And now he's sure. He's been pretty certain that he knows Michael's come back, but now he's certain. Now he's seen the car. He's convinced. And he's got his hand in his pocket as well, by the way, where the gun is. And he'll keep his hand in that pocket pretty much until until he shoots Michael. But then we're all kind of sitting there going, "Don't go, don't go, don't go." And I can only imagine what what it would have been like to view this film at the time. I love watching these classic movies on the big screen, rather than on a TV. I mean, obviously, I get this, get a great experience watching on a TV, but there's nothing quite like staying in a cinema, going, and I'm very lucky that we get to see a lot of classic movies shown. But at the time, because this would have been a very scary movie at the time, people watching it, as opposed to, as I mentioned, we got to see it in 2018, and people kind of laughing away at it. I don't think there would be many people laughing at the time. They're like, no, don't go, don't go across there. You're gonna get killed. It's the suspense. It's classic. And look how it's the time that she takes. She could have, they could have just cut from her going to that door, which, by the way, if you'll notice, when she opened the door to the Doyle house, the door handle, when she's on the inside, and the way when she comes out, they've switched, so the door opens in a completely impossible way. So that's another one of the little movie bloopers. But they take so much time here, and what they could have done was she's made a decision to go across and check out what's happened. It could have gone to Loomis discovering the car, and then it could have come back to her now here at this shot. But no, we've used the time. And then Carpenter had said that one reason that they that there are a lot of long shots, uh, is that they were actually a little bit short of time. But that's just, I think that's just great luck. It- we're lucky that they have been, because it's added to that feeling of everything taking its time. And it's, you know, the length of these takes, before they switch. It's great. There's the steady cam use in this. I've mentioned it a lot, obviously, watch this, but you can't get away from it when you're looking at it. She fades into darkness, and now you're like, okay, this is maybe a little bit worrying. She's now going into the empty house where the murders have taken place, and she's, well, we're about to see what's about to happen, but she's going to now come face to face. She looks at that door. Now we know already he's rushed out of that door and killed somebody already. Oh, now there's that little. It's a tease, and it's just building that suspense with the music as well. It's just it's masterful. Directing of a horror movie, and it elevates beyond the genre, which gets. And now she's jumping out, and she shouldn't be. She should be avoiding jumping out at all costs. But now she's heard a thud. This adds to the the scare that's going, the scares that are going to come. Uh, she's gone over being concerned. Now she feels she's getting a practical joke played upon her, because they're taking advantage of uh, her niceness. The fact that you know she would come across and check on her friend. She wouldn't just immediately say to herself, "They're trying to play a trick on me, and I'm not going to go across and look at what's happening, because I know that they're just going to try and scare me." And look at that. I mean, it's the way it's lit, and the steady cam's going up the stairs with Laurie's point of view. Somebody could jump out at any point in time. The whole house is dark. It's just brilliant. And the way that Michael set these scares up as well, he's kind of hid the bodies, but not hid them. Apart, and obviously one body's not hidden at all, as we know, as we realise. And I think this bit here, we get a sense of Michael's psyche. It is to relive it, as if he's got some sort of fantasy about reliving the murder of his sister. And all these doors are open, just to us, even unconsciously as the audience watching, provide opportunities for people just to lunge out at any second. And one door's shut, and there's a light on, and she opens it. And now, laid out, there's Annie laid out with the tombstone of Judith Myers, as if, she's playing the role now of Judith Myers, and obviously plays into, Michael's fantasy to repeat. And there's like a dark space. We don't know, what's there. And it's a great reveal. He falls down. She dives across to the other side of the room. It's a great scare. The door opens. Now, how did that door open? It's maybe a little bit strange, but there's another body stuffed. She's completely in shock. She doesn't know what to do. She's scared. She doesn't know where to go. Or if she's found that her two best friends dead, and does she doesn't even know if somebody's there. It's just terrifying. And look at this shot. That's iconic. The way he steps out, misses. That's probably the closest we see to a knife ever actually going into anyone, and it scrapes her. And now we're really kicking up a gear, and the music signals it, and the suspense is now at the peak. We're now at like high suspense as she's trying to run to the door, and he's coming down the stairs. It's all narrow escapes. Who has a lock on their kitchen door? I find that strange, but it adds If it looks as if it's original, so it believes that, and it buys her that little bit of time. He's went and locked her door there. You can tell that's candy glass. The pane of glass looks very different from real glass. This is great. The way that he punches through the door, we realise there's something. Yep, there's definitely something more about this guy. And look at that as he comes in, door through the hand through the door, breaks the candy glass, and and she's done her ankle from falling, so that makes her even more, you know, vulnerable. She can't get away from him, and he never really runs, which is even more scary, I suppose. And there's the fall, the obligatory sort of what has become an obligatory horror fall. Now she goes to this house. Why are they not letting her in? They come to the window, the light goes on, and she's like, "Help me, help me!" And now, but that's this is a genius. They think it's a trick. They think it's a Halloween trick. She's, she's great. She's scared. Now, where is he? He's taking his time. Now, look, there's the door handle, as I mentioned. It's what side of the door. And this is great. I mean, obviously, this has become a bit of a trope in horror, the struggle. And there he is. Look at that shot. It's that same angle again. And she's not got the key. She can't find it. She's going to bang on Tommy, and it's just the suspense. Will he get there in time? She's throwing stuff up. He gets up. Oh, it's just there's barely any time to spare. Yeah, okay. He doesn't realise there's a rush. And look at him just walking across. It's brilliant. It's so good. Now he could just come into frame at any second. And look, there's the door handle. It's on the right hand side on the inside. It's on the left hand side on the outside. And she locks the door. Now look at that. Just shut the lights off. Goes to the phone. No dial tone. He's cut the phone. No, they're stranded. And there's it's open. As if instead of while she's concentrating on getting in the door, he's thought, oh, okay, I'll go in. I'll go and find another way in. She just wants it to stop. It's really well played by Julie Curtis. She's totally proven that she's not getting the role because of who her parents are. And it needles. I think we all feel that one a little bit. It's like, right, you can imagine that. And he drops. Of course, she thinks he's dead. She thinks she's killed him. The way that's lit, that just that kind of not quite box of light. She's got the knife in her hands. He's lying there, appears to be dead. The needle's covered in blood, so she's sure. And that's the end. As far as we're aware. If you're watching this for the first time, she survives it. Why else would you throw away the knife? Which of course people are thinking, why did you throw away the knife? But, she's got to. Otherwise we wouldn't have an end to the film. Dr. Loomis now it's kind of stopped trying to look for him on the street. It's kind of observing the houses now. Sheriff Bracken, and look at the way that I love the way they've lit the inside of his car so you can make out his face. And now he's walking with his glove, with his hand in the pocket on the gun. But he's observing the houses to try and see if anything's disturbed. Now those leaves, they're being blown with a fan or from just natural wind from off camera, because of course this was filmed in like springtime. Now she's going up to check on the kids. Certain that it's over. She's such a good babysitter. And she's explaining it. You can't kill the boogeyman. And there he is. Another big scream. And there she is, first priority, protect the kid. I mean, it's great. She tried to set up a wee sort of red herring for him. He'll think that she's went out onto the balcony. But, you know, I don't think he's going to even bother checking that, really. But there's this guy who's just a knitting needle. Say easy for me to say. Shoved in his neck, and he's still going. This mute killing machine, this force of nature, as Carpenter said. And you know, at the time, of course, Carpenter had no intention of making this into a franchise. This was just, you know, a project to make a film. You know, of course, it's become an enormous franchise that spanned the generations, and it's done such a, you know, had some questionable, questionable sequels done to it. I actually quite like for Halloween 2. Of course, it's more gore. You know, we actually see a little bit more. It's a little bit more kind of, I don't know what the word is, but you know, like, you know, some of the kills are very, you know, what you expect from, and there's right into the eye. Oh dear. The kind of, there's the knife. It's a big knife, and Laurie is going to just go right. Yeah, and now that camera work, it has to be said that's John Carpenter himself is actually filming from the other angle inside the closet there that we just saw as she went in to stab him. This angle, it's actually John Carpenter that filmed her coming in from that angle. So he's in there, you know, one of the most important kills. You know, of course, back to the franchise. Of course, it's over $620 million at the box office worldwide. So it's you know, it's been an incredible success. Obviously, questionable sequels and times. This throws a knife away. You're like, no, don't do it. But I think a lot of it's just, you know, it's the sort of the end. It's, you know, obviously the franchise is built around Michael Myers himself. You know, so you put him in situations where, you know, it's irrelevant of who. You know, you don't need a continuation from the first film in a sense. You know, of course they use a family link as the you know, as the reason, and that's his motivation down the movies. But it's and Donald Pleasence, of course, as well. But you know, they don't. You know, they don't need much. Now this is great, you know, and it's the time that it takes. She is completely convinced. How could he possibly survive it? She stabbed him in it, you know. She stabbed him in the eye with a, look at that setup. It's almost like, you know, I wonder if that's, you know, in wrestling, The Undertaker has a famous setup. I wonder if that's where he got it. And now Loomis stumbles upon the scene, and he knows. Like throughout the film, there's been all these moments where he knows. And he realises. Now, she's completely convinced here that he's dead. And look, if she rises up, he rises up. It's that Michael Myers, much like John Carpenter in the way that he shot the film, is deliberate. He takes his time. There's no rushing. And there she is. She just thinks it's all over, and he dies out. No knife, by the way. And the choke, and there comes Dr. Loomis, and this is the first time that they're all in the same scene together. Michael, Laurie, and Loomis. And we see the reveal of the face, and the shot. And she's given in by this point. She's done. She's exhausted. And great acting from Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's a great shot. Michael and Loomis just keeps firing. He falls. Now, in the second film, you'll notice the grass is not like that at all. It's actually fairly lush. And in fact, there's a sort of imprint of his body of where it landed. That's obviously quite a bare lawn. This great line, Jamie and Loomis finally together, was the boogeyman. Not even asking a question, really. He's agreeing. And she's just now, it's, she feels it's all over, and she's just in tears. She's in bits, as you would expect. She does a great job of playing this survivor, and this is just that brilliant. And his reaction, that is amazing. And now, I think most people know that, her reaction there is that she doesn't know that he's gone, but she's just an ordeal that she's gone through. Just brilliant. She hasn't come out of it like this big strong survivor, but there he is looking around as if he knew. Now he was the discussion, John Carpenter, when shooting that he could play it two ways, and now we go all these different little scenes of the crime. He was told, they talked about that they could play it two ways, that he could appear shocked. What? Now we hear the breathing, of course, of Michael. But he could have appeared shocked that he's gone, or play it as he did, which is, of course he's done it. Of course he's gone. I knew it. There's something more in this guy. And then we get to the end. It's just fantastic. And I did love the fact that, Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2, they kind of picked up straight away from the end, and just sort of play it continuous. So it's still Halloween night in a sense. But at the end there, it was there's Jamie Lee Curtis playing it. She's in bits. She's in pieces. She's broken by this experience, and that is picked up by the remake of the reboot of the sequel from last year, from 2018, which she suffers from kind of PTSD. She's badass, but she's been shaped by this night. She's this is not turned her into what you would maybe think of the Hollywood kind of survivor. She's come back as this big strong, as a strong, or she's grown in a kind of positive way from this experience. It's had a damning effect on her life and her relationships with other people. But of course, and it was a great film, I've got to say. The 2018, I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a great job. But yeah, so there we go. The music, of course, closes us out, and it's been a fantastic film. It is a fantastic film, not just horror. It's more than that. It's a fantastic film. And I think people don't remember that enough. That it's not just a horror movie. This is more than just a piece of cinema. Now it's finished, the film that I've been watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this commentary. If you've got any comments, please put them in the comments section below. If you've also any suggestions for any other film commentary that you'd like me to cover, or you'd like us this podcast to cover, please leave that in the comment section below. Also, please subscribe. That way, you'll be up to date on new releases of the podcast, new commentaries that we're going to do. We're going to be looking to do Ghostbusters for one, Batman from 1989, possibly even Batman Returns some more. If you'd like me to do the rest of the franchise, even of Halloween, I've got no problem with sitting through them all. Because I do like these, and I am a bit of a horror film fan. But please leave that in the comments below. Get the discussions going here on the channels. Don't forget, you can find this on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You'll find all the details here. But this has been episode 1 of the Cinema Buff podcast. Thank you for joining me as we went through the classic John Carpenter's Halloween. And I hope to have you listen to episode 2, which will be coming very, very shortly, in which we will be doing the commentary to Ghostbusters, the 1984 classic starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis, directed, of course, by Ivan Reitman. But thanks very much for listening.